right? And so that's sort of the basic idea of Mother Right Theater. And then or theory, excuse me. And then she ends with um, this idea of la facultad, right? And so this is her sort of mystical sort of move, right? Where she takes on Western rationality and science, right? She's juxtaposing this idea of her facultad with against the idea of Western rationality and science. It's a Jungian move. It's emphasizing the supernatural, the primordial, mythological, pre-civilization self. It's supernatural, extrasensory magic, right? And so, um, you know, she's juxtaposing this sort of idea of la facultad, right? So the intuitionistic, mystical aspect against the idea of civilization, which is male, rational, systematic, standardized, grammatical, monolingual, all those types of things, all that jazz. Okay, so that's chapter 3. Lots of good stuff on snakes, too. Of course, highlights there for you. Chapter 4 is probably the high point of the text, right? It's the climax of the text of the Borderlands Mestiza state of consciousness. It's great to read, but it's also a challenge if you're into like trying to understand every word. You really got to let it flow over yourself. It's a stream of consciousness move. It's similar to a lot of avant-garde literature that we have in the West. James Joyce, Ulysses, William Burroughs, Naked Lunch. So it's playing with language. It's deconstructing language in order to get into another state of mind, another state of consciousness. So it's mixing language, history, literary genres, no beginning, no end, avant-garde, aesthetic praxis, completely. So great stuff. Jump into it. And then chapter 5 is probably the most famous chapter of the text. It's in a lot of anthologies and women's studies courses, etc. And so here's where she makes a very sort of concerted argument about language. So she'll talk about the idea of linguistic freedom, the erasure, she'll talk about her own life story where growing up she had to take classes where they were trying to get rid of her accent, right, in school. She goes into looking at Spanish language and how misogynistic it can be. Hold that thought.